Welcome to the Trading with Venus podcast. I'm your host, Raman Gill. I just got off a call with Trade Vault members. One of the members from the group approached me and he wanted to find out about coaching. So I figured might as well do this with everyone who is part of the Trade Vault. So some of the members here have committed to doing certain things in order to become more successful in their trading. And I just wanted to share this process with everybody. So I thought I would put this out as a podcast so that everyone can benefit from it. There are some of the processes that we can follow that will help us produce good results. So please have a listen. Let me know how it goes. Now, some of this stuff is part of the Trade Vault membership. So if you have the membership, you can join us in the Facebook group and we can all work together and get on accountability and coaching calls. But if you're not part of the Trade Vault or the Turning Pro Challenge, don't worry about it. You can still use these resources and you'll be able to create some amazing results for yourself. So I highly encourage you to listen through this. It is a bit of a long call, but if you do stay to the end, you will find some good nuggets. And not just that, I highly encourage you to implement some of these steps if you're really serious about becoming a successful trader. All right, welcome everyone. This is the beginning of our Turning Pro implementation. And thank you, Aaron, for suggesting this. I think this will be a good exercise for all of us. Now, first of all, in terms of the timing, I just picked this time because this worked for Aaron and he had suggested it. The purpose of this meeting today is to just figure out what everybody needs help with. Where do you struggle? So if we could go around, okay, so this is how we'll do this call. So we'll go around the room and we'll introduce ourselves. We'll talk about how long you have been trading and what is one challenge that you want to work on. And once we have done that, that will help me understand where everyone is. And if you are not on this call, and you're listening to the recording here, please feel free to post it in the comments. And as for the timings, if this timing is not the best, I'm trying to accommodate the most amount of people, but we are all spread out around the world. So there may be somebody who is not able to attend the calls, but please don't. So we can play around with timing, maybe have a couple of different slots that we alternate between in order to get everybody in. But also make sure you still implement the stuff, right? We are part of the group and this is a team exercise. My biggest thing here would be that we function as a team. Now, I have had traders in the past where they will say, oh, I don't want to share ideas because I don't want to give my ideas to someone else, right? Well, you know what? When we share, you'll notice that we grow. This was the main reason I started doing videos and started teaching, was because the more you contribute in that way, the more it forces you to think through things, and the better you become as a trader. And I have to say, I have improved considerably in the last few years that I have been doing this. And even my husband was actually, he was saying how much I have improved. And when you live with someone, you don't quite, see the change. You don't see one big change. It's so incremental, but it's interesting to see, how much things have how much I have learned over this period of time. So don't feel that if you're sharing your ideas that somebody's going to take it away from you. Nobody can take it away from you. Everybody gets what their dues, right? The more effort we put into it, the better it will be for yourself, the better it will be for everyone else. And sometimes what I find is us doing something will inspire someone else to do the same, and we have no idea what a difference we may be making in somebody else's lives just by having a little bit of courage to speak up, to actually put our being vulnerable in the sense that posting the results or saying, oh my God, I messed this up, that type of stuff. So I used to really feel, and even now I find when I put it in the open forum, people will bash you for it, but this is a closed forum. This is a team environment, and I want us to create that environment where we're not bashing each other or criticizing each other. this is like, okay, so let's say I made a big kerfuffle, right? I fell on my face. This is not to say, oh, let's punch you while you're down. This is more like, you know what, that's okay, chin up, get up, brush off, and let's go at it again. So that's the process I want to follow, and that's the environment I want us to create so that all of us do better. This is not a ramen show. This is like all of us together. And I want to make sure that we all do that. So let's go around the room, introduce yourself, and then we'll go into the nitty-gritty of how this is going to work. So who would like to start?
I'll start.
Go for it, Aaron.
Hello. Yep. Go ahead.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So how you guys doing? My name is Aaron Jordan. I've been trading probably going on my third year now. And one thing I've learned about trading is that it seems as if I'm learning things in layers. So I started 3 years ago with some different trainers at first, but first understanding support and resistance. Then the second layer was understanding the price action and really trying to understand candles and the engulfing candle. And lastly, which brought me to Rahman, was trying to understand the fundamentals. And I noticed one of my weaknesses was as I got a little bit better at the setups, I just didn't understand why the market was moving the way it was. I had no clue of really understanding how the news would affect my trades. So I was listening to Rahman, I think last summer when I found her on YouTube, and she mentioned a good comment how in order to really become a good trader, you have to understand the fundamentals in addition to the technical. And that's the part that I'm joining you guys with this journey of making sure that I can understand when the US dollar, something goes wrong with what Trump says, well, that makes gold go up. You know, so the more I see that correlation between news and the effect of something going up or down, I find for me, it's making me a better trader. I think some of the weaknesses that I had and why I wanted to spend some time with Rahman was sometimes I have a good series of trades, some decent setups, and then all of a sudden I may start to go with a little stronger leverage, and then things change. The market will change on me, and all of a sudden I blow up my whole account. So one time I started with oil, and I had started with just $150. And over the course of 4 months, I grew it to 3,000. And on my very last move, I lost everything. So it was trying to figure out what is it that I'm doing in this things that are working out very well that in the final piece of it makes me blow everything away. One other little weakness I noticed is sometimes I can get the good direction, but in a market like right now, it changes so much that I'll go into a hedge and try to just ride things out a little bit. Well, after a while, that hedge order, the drawdown starts to get very, very large. So I'm going to look for ways where I can keep my trades more clean, where I'm in the direction that I should be, get out when I need to be, have a little drawdown. I don't mind a little drawdown, but I want to keep the trades a little bit more clean so each day I can start with a fresh palette or a fresh account, I should say. So those are some of the different things that I'm working on.
Perfect. Thank you, Aaron. Actually, yeah, those are some of my challenges as well. So perfect. Where are you based, Aaron?
So I'm in the United States. Currently, I live in Ohio, but I'm from New York.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Ken Nelson. I own a tax and accounting practice in Tampa, Florida. Been trading all sorts of stuff, probably 30, 40 years. Probably got into forex maybe 2 or 3 years ago and just trying to learn. And one of the things that I find that I struggle with is I can see the patterns and where to make an entry, and the those nightly reviews that we've been doing have been very helpful to me. But I find managing the trade is where I struggle. You can say, here's a good entry point. I'll set my target at 50 pips and my stop loss is 40 pips, but nothing is ever smooth. Mm-hmm. Market goes up, market goes down. So it's like my target's 50, maybe it goes 45 and kind of hangs out. Should I get out? what always happens is if I decide to get out, of course, then it goes down, goes down or up and hits my target. If I decide to stay in, it reverses and I end up stopping out. So I think it's just a matter of learning what to look at in the market to make a decision as to say, okay, I've gotten what I can get, let's get out, or, it's not going in my direction. I don't need to let it go to my stop loss. Let me cut my losses. So those are the kind of things that I'm looking to gain here.
Perfect. Thanks, Ken. Those are very important. And you know what? Now that I know, we will talk about those. And actually, you're right. We do talk about those in the review. So I'm happy to hear that that's a good thing in terms of talking about where we should exit the trades and not. But I'll keep this in mind. Perfect. Thank you. And Ken, where are you based again?
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Who's next?
I'll go. It's Anthony here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I'm from Victoria, British Columbia, and I've been interested in forex probably 5 or 6 years, and just getting really onto it now in my life for the last 5-6 months, really steadily since signing up with you, and putting in a full, daily effort to get on top of things. But definitely making all sorts of, I'd say, rookie mistakes. We'll just say that. And just trying to learn. So I'll leave it with that. I'm trading a small live account and a couple of demo accounts.
Okay, sounds good, Anthony. Perfect. Who's next?
Roman, I'll go to LaSalle. Gordon from the UK, Birmingham.
Yep, go ahead.
Hope you can all understand my accent. I've been trading since about end of 2009. Well, yeah, start of 2009. Sorry, that's my. Sorry, you can't hear that, but it's my squawk that's coming.
That's okay. We can't hear it. We just hear a little bit of scratching noise in the back, but you can continue. You there, Elsa? Let's see what's going on the squawk. So we can't hear you. Did you mute yourself? I'm not sure if you lost. You're unmuted. I don't hear you. Let me just check. Oh, no, you are unmuted from my side as well. We were hearing you fine, but did you mute your what do you call it, your squawk maybe, and that muted you? Okay, so while Lasat figures this out, who wants to go next?
I will, Raman, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it, Mark.
Hi, my name's Mark, everyone, from Sydney, Australia. I've been exposed to the markets probably about 20 years ago, and had a bit of success earlier on, then drifted away after a few losses, went back into the workforce, and it's only the last few years that I've been getting back into trading again. And so my head's obviously full of a lot of nonsense that I've picked up over the years, and some good stuff, some bad stuff. Raman's set me on the right path here. Some problems I've had is assessing in real time the direction of the market and market flow. Obviously, with fundamentals, I'm having trouble understanding and interpreting those in terms of how they move the market, because sometimes when you think something's going to be positive, the currency turns around and goes in the other direction. So they're my two biggest problems at the moment, with understanding and interpreting fundamentals and market direction, just getting the direction right in the first place.
Okay, sounds good. Those are definitely the things we will be working on.
Thank you.
All right, so who else do we have? Who did we have? So Jemmy, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. I may be butchering your name, I'm sorry. But you want to go next? We're just going around the room and introducing ourselves and talking about what are we working on? Or what do we need? What are our challenges? How long we've been trading? You can unmute yourself, or I can unmute you. And so whenever you're ready, you can go ahead as well.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll try and be a bit more concise this time. Just been trading 10 years, started off with robots and been live trading with various levels of success. In more recent times, for instance, the last 6 months, still only a small account, but I have gone about 5 months without losing on my very small live account. Just last week, I started to increase my lot size. Had a few losers, but I feel in myself that I'm a lot more disciplined. But I just like to follow through with you with the daily routine, understanding a bit more about the fundamentals. I still have a strong lean into the technical side, and sometimes I don't know if I always see all of the relevance of the fundamentals, but I do understand the market moving news. So I'm just trying to incorporate what I can just to make myself better. But I feel I'm very close to being what I need to be. But as you've said in the introduction, working together as a team, learning from one another, it'll all help. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so looks like everybody's gone except for Jemmy. So you can hear us now. So feel free to unmute yourself and please introduce yourself and tell us where you are located, how long you've been trading, and what challenges, 1 or 2 challenges that you want to be working on through this.
Okay, hi. My name is Jamie. I'm located in Singapore. So I just started my trading journey like maybe around 1 year plus. And one of the, I think the biggest challenge that I experienced is to select, to choose the right currency to trade and the directions. Sometimes maybe during London times, it goes up. Then when it comes to New York time, it goes down. So I experienced this a lot, especially lately. So maybe perhaps there some guides, maybe which direction, which pair to select with the directions, and what is the best time to trade, and where to put the TP, because sometimes maybe aiming too high, then it never reach, and finally it turns around and it hit the stop loss. I think this major. Thank you.
Sounds good. Yes. So those are good, not good challenges, but those are the challenges that I think all of us face. But you know, yes. So the market direction in different sessions, I will start talking about that a bit more as well. So thank you for that. And also, just a note here, you guys, I want to let you know that if there is something that you have in your mind in terms of something you're struggling with, or you would like me to explain, please let me know, because what happens is sometimes I don't know that you don't know about that, or that you don't understand it fully. So I have this problem. I may come across, right, as a very confident person, but sometimes what happens is I second guess myself, in the sense that a lot of times I want to create videos, but then I'll be like, oh, everybody knows about this, or this is common knowledge, that type of stuff. I'm just repeating myself. So sometimes I talk myself out of doing these things that I feel will be helpful for everybody. So please do let me know in the Facebook group and so forth as we move forward. And then I have no problem creating a quick video on that particular topic, or I will try to incorporate that stuff as we do our day-to-day stuff. But if I know, then I would be, I can talk about it, because sometimes I'm telling you, I've talked myself out of things so much. Okay, so thank you everyone for sharing these struggles. So the common theme here is, if I look, I made a note of all the different things that we talked about here. So if I take a look at these things, I find I struggle with most of these things as well. So for example, what do we talk about? Aaron talked about basically taking on big losses, and that I find I tend to do that as well. I will have a great trading spree, like for 2 weeks I will just be going gangbusters, and then I take a bad trade. And not only do I take a bad trade, I take a bunch of trades, and it always happens to be at the wrong time. So I go all in at the wrong time. So whatever I made in 2 weeks, I end up giving that up in literally a few days. And not only that, sometimes I end up going negative. And those are the things that I have personally struggled with. And as time goes on, you tend to get a little bit better at it, but every once in a while you still fall on your face. And this is where that's my struggle as well. I am I want to be focusing on that. And then having too many trading ideas, Lusal, yes, I sometimes get carried away with things, and I will be like, oh yes, this is going to work out now because I have done all this analysis and research, and this is going to go. And of course, then President Trump comes and says something, or ECB says something, or Bank of Japan. This market is quite volatile, and one of the things that we have to do is we have to learn to keep our powder dry for when it really matters. So that's my personal challenge. So now that we know all of this, I have this, and or I have notes here now. So we'll keep we'll keep this in mind. And let's take a look at, so what do we need to do here in terms of how we are going to work through this. What I'm going to suggest here is that we take a look at the Turning Pro resources. So the reason I started the Turning Pro Challenge a couple of years ago here was first personally for myself, because there were certain things that I needed to do, like the daily reviews that I was not doing, and I needed to do like the daily reviews, weekly reviews, keeping a trade journal. I hate paperwork, and that's why I find I really struggle with the trade journal. But it is a necessity. We have to keep a trade journal. The reason we need to keep a trade journal is it's actually a hack. This is a way of forcing our brains to pay attention to something. So a lot of studies have talked about neural pathways being built in the brain. So what they say is, if you tell the brain something is important to you, the brain will then find that for you. And this is just how it is. This is just how our brains are wired. So for example, you may have noticed, if you want to buy a particular car, and then that's all you will see on the road, or if you just bought a particular car, that's all you would see on the road. And it's not that more cars have appeared on the road. It's just that we have told our brains that we are interested in that particular car. So now your brain keeps pointing that out to you. And this is where you may also have heard the saying that whatever you focus on expands, right? And that's the basically, it goes back to our brains, just the way our brains are wired. It's all about self-preservation, right? Back in the day. So our brains will, if we tell our brain this is important, it will keep telling us this. And I have seen this where I will get upset at something, and then I keep seeing the same thing over and over again, which is not good. So what we want to do through this is we want to tell our brains to focus on what we want it to focus on, because a lot of times it will just go focus on random stuff. So we want to be a little bit more, we just want to be more focused, right? We want to control our brains rather than our brain controlling us. But what happens with most traders, and I've experienced this myself, is that I focus on my losses. And when I focus on my losses, what do I create? More losses, right? Because I find a way to say, oh, this didn't work out. This is what happened, stupid market and this and that. And of course, my brain keeps showing me that because I have inadvertently told my brain this is important. So I want to switch that. And in order to switch that, one of the best way to switch that is by doing daily reviews. So this is where I started our daily reviews. You're welcome to join them or watch the video. What I'm going to suggest, so that's our first tactical piece that we are going to do. So every day, I do the daily review. So when I post that video, or actually even before we post that video, feel free to create a thread and just say, this is my daily review. So pick one pair that where you can see the trade setup, and just tell us in a few sentences. So again, we don't need to write a paragraph. And one of the things I've noticed is if I make too big a deal of it, I won't do it, right? So when I never used to go to the gym because I was always, and like an outdoors athlete. I did sports. I did like football and ultimate frisbee and basketball, these type of things, or climbing and rollerblading, like outside stuff. But I never used to go to the gym. I just hated the gym. But what happened was I had multiple injuries, so I had multiple ACL repairs, so I couldn't run anymore. So I had to go to the gym because I started putting on weight because I wasn't working out. So when I wanted to go to the gym, I created this whole big program for myself. I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to do it. But you know what? It was so overwhelming that I didn't even want to start. So what I would suggest is don't worry about making it perfect. I don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be correct. What we're trying to do is we're trying to instill habits, and habits can only be created if we take action. So right now, even if it's the wrong action, we can fix the wrong action, right? We can make the wrong to right, but if we don't take action, that right action will never happen. So what we're doing through this is we are using what's called behavioral psychology, behavioral finance, and we are going to create some good habits for ourselves. What I have seen over the years that I've been doing this is most people are actually okay with technical analysis. Like most of us are good at it because we as human beings tend to see patterns. We see patterns everywhere. So getting good at technical analysis or getting decent at technical analysis is not that hard to do. What I find where most people fall on their faces, and I have, again, repeatedly done this, is our psychology does us in. And we can't really control the psychology. That's why if you have talked about trading psychology, it's really hard to follow that because nobody tells you what to do, right? And what I've discovered is we cannot fix our psychology. What we can fix is we can fix our actions. Good actions lead to good habits, which leads to good psychology. If we take a look at any of the athletes, or let's take a look at soldiers, for example, right? So Navy SEALs. So when they go into battlefield, essentially they're not telling their brains what to do in the moment, because when you're in the battle, your brain shuts down. Because there's too much information, like you're getting bombed and attacked in all types of, from all places. Our brains cannot take that. We just cannot. We don't have the resources to process that information. So what the brain does, it will fall back on training. So this is why Navy SEALs spend so much time on training, on doing the same thing over and over and over again, because when the brain shuts down, when the conscious processing part of brain shuts down, what we as humans fall back on will be our learned behavior, right? Whatever we have practiced over and over again, we will end up doing without thinking about it. So you may have noticed, if you live in a place, for example, let's say you've lived in a house for the last 5 years, you go and you have had the same job for the last 5 years, you go to your work and you come back, and and I have noticed that sometimes I drive back home and I have no idea how I got there. So back when I was in Toronto, I used to sit in the traffic for an hour, and I would sometimes have no clue as to how I got home, because my brain was somewhere else, but somehow I got home, and it would be like, oh, I'm home already, that type of thing. And we all do this. So these are called automatic habits. Same way, so you would have noticed, if you sleep on certain side of the bed, you always sleep on certain side of the bed. So we tend to do things in a very repeatable fashion. That's just how it is. And so what we're trying to do here is to get that repetition, so that when we go into the live trading environment, our training kicks in and the brain doesn't need to worry about what needs to happen. So we can pay our full attention on actually taking the trade, and the rest of the stuff we do automatically. Right? So that's what we're trying to do here. Having said that, the way we're going to do this is we'll go to our scorecard here. So the scorecard that I built here, if I can find it. Oh, what happened to my scorecard? Sorry. Here we go. Okay, so this is the scorecard. This is part of our Turning Pro processes, right? Turning Pro challenge resources. I'll post this in our group. So here, this is the scorecard. Basically, instead of, when we're trading, the amount of money we make and the pips that we make, that is the ultimate, basically shows us results, right? However, we can't create the results without focusing on the processes, but we always measure ourselves as traders based on the results. But for example, going back to the Navy SEALs, when the Navy SEALs go into combat, they don't know whether they're going to win or lose. They don't know if they're going to come out alive, but they have trained so that it increases their chances of being successful, right? So let's say they're trying to rescue somebody. They don't know if that result will happen, right? And then let's say the mission fails for whatever reason, right? They can't then beat themselves up, they can't beat themselves up for a failed mission, because what they will do is they will come back and dissect it, right? But they can't say, oh, I suck, right? Because that doesn't help us. We have to figure out where did we fall short and what do we need to fix. And the way we can fix that is by looking at our behaviors. And once we do that, sorry, one second. So when we look at our behaviors, then we have a chance of fixing them, right? So the main behaviors that we need to instill in ourselves, there are three main things essentially. So first one is around preparation. Preparation is very, very important. So in preparation, that's the daily analysis that we do. You can join me on the call if you like, or you get the video and you can follow along. Now, what I would encourage you to do here is every single day, I want everybody to basically do one projection, right? So every day, just find one pair and guess the market direction. Again, the idea here is not to be correct all the time. It doesn't exist. I am not correct all the time either, and I have a few years under my belt, so we will never get it right. But that's not the point of it. The point of it is just going through the process. So setups and projections are two things that we need to be doing. So projections and setups and projections. So projection is the first part of it, where we are analyzing the pair. So, and it's okay if you just take something from the video that I did or the call that I did and just basically talk about it, because even when you do that, it will put the focus on it, and it will tell your brain to find similar setup. So I'm okay with that. Don't worry about getting it right. Just do it. So one setup. So find one chart, take a picture of it, and say a few lines about where you think the market direction will be. So that will be part of our preparation. Now, in preparation, I recommend that you do your own preparation and then basically compare it with mine. My analysis won't always be correct. So the best way to trade is to basically compare the two. If you find alignment, that's great. If you don't take my trade, because when we do something, we need to be able to understand the trade that we are taking. Sometimes it's just best to watch, right? So let's say I take a trade, your analysis doesn't quite, it's not the same as mine, it doesn't align, then you sit it out, watch it, and then either I will be wrong and you will be correct, and then that gives you the feedback that, okay, your way of thinking was correct, so stay with it, right? Otherwise, it will give you feedback that, okay, there was something that I was looking at that you had not considered. And in doing so, okay, next time I'm going to look at this as well. Okay, so either way, it gives us feedback, but I do highly encourage you to do yours as well and then compare it with mine. If you don't have time to do 20 different pairs like I do, I actually don't recommend looking at 20 different pairs. So if you have watched the trades that I have taken, I've been posting them in the Facebook group. I literally only trade the dollar crosses and the yen crosses. And even then, of those, most of the ones that I trade are euro and pound. Like, majority of my trades tend to focus around that. The other day I took CAD yen and then I just closed it out. I'm like, okay, this is not, it's just not my regular pair to trade. That's why, even though many times or every single day I analyze, I analyze a lot of the like Euro CAD, Euro Aussie. I hardly ever take those trades because I'm just not that focused on it. So when you get really deep dive, or when you deep dive into one particular currency or a pair, you will find you get really good at it. So I take euro and pound. Aaron, for example, has been trading gold, and he is really good at it. I never trade gold, right? Even though I analyze it, but he understands that. And this is how I suggest that when you want to get good, narrow your focus instead of going broad. The reason I do broad is because there's a lot of us, and each of us focuses on different things. So this way I cover a variety of things. And also, main reason for doing this also is to get an overview of the market. So I added all these different items because markets are correlated. So when gold is doing something, or the equity markets is doing something, then gold will do this, or euro will do this, right? So it's good for us to have that overall view. But when it comes to you, I would say just pick one pair and just do the projections on it. So projection means basically saying, where do you think this will go? Are you looking for a pullback? Are you looking for a move in this direction? Where do you think it's going to go? So just post that. Don't get too overly complicated with it. Just a simple setup. Take a picture, post where you think you're going to go and where this is going to go, and put that number in. Okay. So I will share the spreadsheet with you. So every day, what you want to do here is, if you have checked the news, So when I say check the news, what are we looking at? So in terms of the news, we are looking at our Forex Factory or whatever calendar you choose to use. They're all the same. Don't worry about it. So you check the calendar to understand what news is coming. And then as the news comes out, we'll discuss it. And over time, you will start to understand the importance of that particular news. So you don't need to understand that right now. Just start doing it. And then another thing you want to check is Reuters and Bloomberg, those two sites. Just check, even if you want to just check one, Reuters is a good one. Bloomberg wants you to sign in and all of that these days. So I find Reuters is good. And under Reuters, what you want is, so this is the Reuters. So what I tend to do is go to markets, and then under the markets homepage. So we're not looking at Reuters homepage, we're looking at markets homepage, right? If nothing else, I want you to read this article here. So the main article every day will focus on overall what the market is doing, right? So coronavirus savages US retail sales again. So this one is about particular retail sales number that just came out here. So if you take a look at the retail sales number, so Empire State Manufacturing was good, but the retail sales sucked. This is very negative, and for some reason, equity markets have not dropped as a result of that, which is very surprising. But so this number, of course, it will focus, sometimes the news will focus on that, but at the end of the day, this particular one that you find in the center of the page, it will give you an overview of what happened in the market. So you will see S&P 500 was down 1% today, and then they will talk about it. So the reason for doing that is if you are working on understanding the fundamentals, this is a very important piece. Again, it gives the reason I like it, it's short. You can do it you can read the article in less than 5 minutes, literally, because it's really 3 paragraphs that they post, but they will normally cover overall view of the market. They will say stock market moved in this direction, oil moved in this direction, gold did this, and the currency markets did this. So it's like 3 or 4 paragraphs, very concise, quick read. So just do that. Okay, so going back to our scorecard here. So that's the first thing. You want to check your news, Forex Factory, Reuters, and then you want to do your market analysis. So you can I highly recommend you do yours, compare it to mine, and then look for potential entries and targets. So this is your projection part. And this is the part I want you to post. I want you to post in the Facebook group. So every day there will be one thread. Feel free to start that thread. If nobody has posted, just say, hey, this is my projections for the day, right? And then everybody else, please post a comment in the same one, so we keep one thread. And that way we'll get to see what others are thinking, right? So for example, Aaron trades gold. I want to know how is he viewing the market, right? Because sometimes it may be different than yours. So it's a good idea. Then we'll get to see a variety of different people, how we are viewing the markets, and that would be a good learning exercise. So that's the preparation part. That's what we do first. So I recommend doing this the evening before, right? And then before you take a trade in the morning, just go through, check the Reuters ones quickly, and then go to your Forex Factory and just check what happened in the market. Now, you can also look at Squawk, but I wouldn't worry about it too much if you have not been doing it, because it's fine, right? This is the next step. Squawk, basically, if you go to FX Pro, you can sign up for a demo account. Like, I don't have a real account with them at this point. You can set up with a demo account, and then they provide you this. These are the bullet points. These are basically real-time news that comes out. So this is a little bit different than Forex Factory, because Forex Factory will cover the scheduled news, whereas this will cover the ongoing stuff that's going on. So if you've been doing trading, if you've been trading for a while, you can do this. If not, just focus on Forex Factory and Reuters. So those are the two things you want to focus on, but make sure you do cover those. So every day, if you have done that, you give yourself 1 point for each. So at the at the end of the week, you should have 5 points each if you have done all of them. So the idea is we are going to strive for perfection, but I do not expect anybody to get the perfect score. I don't get the perfect score, so I would not expect anybody else to. So don't kill yourself for doing it, for not getting it. What I want you to do is just do more than what you did yesterday, right? So we are going to work on moving the needle. A lot of times we as traders want to hit home runs. And this is a conversation that I keep having with my husband over and over again. And he keeps telling me this: you're trying to hit home runs every day. Stop trying to do that. And that's just how my personality is. So I need to rein it in. And I find a lot of traders, we tend to be competitive people, and we are competing with ourselves, right? Or competing with the markets. So we tend to do this a little bit. And also, a lot of times we will hear stuff about how great someone is doing. Somebody has a Ferrari and a plane and stuff. That is not real life of a trader. Let me tell you that. So, and having those things doesn't tell you anything about anybody, right? Just because a person has a Ferrari and an airplane and everything else doesn't mean they're doing really well. They could be in a heap of debt, right? So that's not what we are striving for. I don't care about that. What I care about is having freedom in your life, right? So freedom could mean anything to, it will mean different things to different people. For me, freedom is, I want to go for a walk in the middle of the day. I want to go shopping in the middle of the day. I can go do that. I want to spend some money. I don't have to ask anybody, can I spend this money or not? I have that money. I can choose to do what I want to do. If I want to go to, let's say, San Francisco for a weekend or a week, okay, I can book a ticket and go do that without having to, save for 2 years in order to have a simple vacation like that. So to me, that is freedom. And you can define freedom in whichever way you can define success whichever way you want to. But I would say, let's not focus on, I want $1 million account, because the more you focus on it, the less the likelihood of you getting it. The more you focus on moving the needle every single day, the sooner you will get there, right? So that's what we're trying to do. We're not going for perfection. We're just going for, let's move the needle every single day, okay? So that will be a behavior that we're going to adapt. So next part is, once we have prepared, next part is execution. Execution is more about trade management, right? Did I take the trade as planned? So it's great to have a plan, but if you never pull the trigger, we'll never get there, right? Or in my case, I pull too many triggers. So my goal will be to basically say, you know what, I just want 1 or 2 good trades a day. Yesterday, for example, oh my God, I took so many trades and they didn't really work out that well, right? So what I need to do is pick 1 or 2 trades, and this is why I tend to go for euro and pound, because they move. Their average true range for a day is like 100 pips. So out of the 100 pips, if we can get 30 pips or 40 pips, that's wonderful. And again, please don't be fooled by other people who will tell you to get 100 pips every single day. Well, striving for that is not a good idea. What happens is, I find if you go for, okay, my goal is to just get 1 or 2 good trades a day, in doing that, you will actually reach that goal. Again, but if you chase after 100 pips a day, it doesn't work. I've tried and I failed so many times. So I would say, don't focus on that. Focus on moving the needle. Just say, I'm going to get 1 or 2 good trades, and that's good, right? So that's what we'll focus on. So in here, you want to take a look at, did you take the did you take the trades as you planned? Did you enter a stop loss? I am horrible with stop losses, and I will admit to that. The problem with the reason I'm horrible with stop losses is because I hate losing, right? In trying not to lose, I end up losing more. There are so many times, so now I force myself to enter a stop loss. So many times I would have just taken a smaller a loss if I just put a stop and got out of the trade. But I hate losing so much that I'm like, okay, you know what? I will average down, or I will hedge. Well, because then you're putting more stuff on your brain to manage, and our brains are not very good at that. So I find I will end up exhausting myself, because now I've got two different trades going in two different directions. So even if I close one trade, I still have another trade to worry about, right? And what I have learned during this last few years is that it's best to have concentrated focus for a short period of time and then enjoy the rest of your day. But if you have too many trades going, then your mind is done for the entire day. And then you're going into the next day with more stuff on your brain, and our brains get stressed out and we start making mistakes, right? We start doing things that we would normally not do, things that we know we should not do and we don't want to do, and yet we'll find ourselves doing that. Another thing I have to warn you about here, and this is something I don't talk about a lot because of, people don't understand. You only understand this when you're actually doing it, right? So this is a very isolating business. This is a very stressful business. We burden our brains all the time. Oh, I should have taken this trade. I should not have taken this trade. I should have put a stop loss. I should have gotten out. I should have stayed in. Doesn't matter what happens, we keep beating ourselves up. So we need to change that mindset. And this is something I'm working on as well. My goal is to just, hey, this is my job. I come here, I do my job, and I leave, right? I have to leave in the sense that I have to mentally leave, okay? Because if you don't, your brain is fried, and then you cannot come into work the next day with a fresh mind. So imagine if there was somebody working at a job, at a factory, for example, right? Or you're an accountant. So talk about accountancy, right? So you're an accountant, you're working, or you have a bookkeeper, for example. So this bookkeeper comes in and she's a great bookkeeper. She does her job, but then she doesn't go home. She's there every day. And in the night, she sleeps there and she starts next day. Now, what do you think? Is she going to produce her best work, or is she going to start making mistakes, right? So I would say she's going to start making mistakes, and it doesn't reflect on what her skill set is. It just shows us that her brain is fried, her body is fried, she needs a break. So if she just went home and only worked 7 hours a day, gave it a full work day, she would be so much more effective by just taking a break mentally and physically. And I find we as traders don't do that. So I have trades running at night, so I'm not really mentally, I'm always on, and that's exhausting, right? So there is this burnout that tends to happen, mental burnout that tends to happen with traders. So we have to be aware of that, and we have to manage that. Another thing is traders tend to get into addiction problems, alcohol being the biggest one of those, or other substances and stuff, right? So we really have to be careful, because it is so easy to reach for a glass of wine to relax ourselves at the end of the day. And I have found that is not a good thing to do, because one can lead to two, right? And two to more. So that is not a good way to relax. The best way to relax is just close the trade, move the needle, close the trade, and you're off. Then we come back and do it again tomorrow. So be mindful of that. And another thing is importance of exercise. Exercise for us is very, very important. Again, this is not something that you will hear a lot, but take it from somebody who does this for a living. It is very, very important, because it actually forces you to focus on something else. So it frees up your mind, and it creates this endorphins in our body, not to mention all the physical aspects of exercise, right? But it really helps our brain. So aside from the physical aspects of it, I highly encourage you to incorporate exercise in your day-to-day. And then importance of taking supplements. This is very, very important. Again, I think I've only talked about it once in one of the the podcast or something. And the reason I don't talk about it is because people think it's frivolous. It's not important. But let me tell you, it is very, very important. We have to nourish our bodies. We have to nourish our brains in order to perform at our best. So if you take a look at any of the athletes, right? Athletes don't just focus on their plays that they need to run. They focus on everything. They focus on practices where they're actually throwing the ball or whatever, you may be doing, but they also focus on their diet, right? They eat a certain way. They will take time off, and they focus on their visualization and psychology and things like that, right? So we have to do the same. Think of yourself as a racehorse, right? You are your biggest asset. So if you have, let's say, I don't know what the horses are, like Arabian horse or whatever, like something that is very, very good racehorse, and you want the racehorse to win, you're going to support that, right? You're not going to starve the horse. You're going to feed the horse the best you can. You're going to make sure the horse is groomed properly. It's getting food and water and nutrition. You will actually supplement your horse. So if we are going to supplement our horse, and I know this because I have a friend I should say acquaintance who has a horse ranch, and they supplement their horses. If we're going to supplement the horses, why are we not supplementing ourselves, right? So in order to perform at our best, we have to feed our brain as well. So based on the studies, in the modern day and age, we're just not getting the type of nutrition that we need. A lot of the products that are being produced, they just lack nutrition, right? Back in the day, they used to be a little bit more hardy. These days, our soil doesn't have all the nutrients. So basically, we're getting a lot of water and things like that, pesticides and stuff. We're not getting the important nutrients that we need. So it's important to supplement. So this is the type of stuff that you won't hear anywhere else, but this is the reality of performing in this field. Okay. So back to execution. So here, what you're going to do is you're going to enter, give yourself marks. What supplements do I take? I just take the usual. I take your multivitamin. I take B complex, and I find magnesium really helps with the brain, relaxing the brain and so forth. So magnesium, zinc, then our fish oil, just so those ones, just D3. I take vitamin D as well. I live in a very cold place and I don't get enough vitamin D. So those are just the normal ones that I take, but nothing crazy. So in the execution, what we want to do here is we want to if you took the trades as planned, you give yourself a 1 for that day. If you didn't, you give yourself a 0 here, right? So let's say, when I say, did you take the trade as planned? What I mean is, did you enter the trade where you said you were going to enter based on your plan, right? Now, did you manage the trade properly? We have an entry for that. So taking trades will be entering the trade, right? Correct trade management would be, did you exit where you're supposed to exit? So when I say exit where you're supposed to, I don't mean that you have to wait for the trade to hit the profit target. What I mean is, if you're seeing that trade is not going in the direction you want it to go in, did you close it out? Or are you just hoping and praying, like I do sometimes, that it will reach my target? Hoping and praying is not a good trading strategy. But if you see that price is going sideways, it's not really going where it needs to go, or you see that it starts to pull back and you're just not feeling comfortable about it, just get out, right? So it's better to take a smaller profit than have a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So you can define your own correct trade management, but don't be too hard on yourself, okay? Like, be gentle with yourself. We are just like, if you had an employee and they made a mistake, you're not going to kill them, right? You will just say, okay, you know what, this is how you need to do it the next time. Let's just focus on doing it correctly the next time. At least that's what I would say. So be gentle to yourself like that. Did you set your profit target and stop loss? So these ones are separate, and give yourself one when you set a stop loss, and see, this particular day I did not, so I got a 0 here, right? So we want to make sure that we are striving for ones here, and of course I got 0 in the correct trade management. I must have done something that was not, I guess, setting the stop loss is a beginning of a failure, right? So, or not setting one. So I would say give yourself marks for that. And it's okay to have zeros. There are days when I have zeros. That's just how it is, okay? And then review is the daily reviews that we do after the ones, at the end of the day. I do a daily review. You can go through that. You can do one for yourself. And this is where I want you to take one pair, right? Look for a trade setup and just find any. This not the pair that you have traded or you normally trade or anything. It can be any random pair. Find one trade setup and tell us, why is this a good trade setup and where would a good entry have been? And I fully understand we are looking in the past, but this is how we learn. We don't learn by looking in the future. We learn by looking in the past. And every time we see a good trade setup, you will actually, we will find that in the future, it will be easier to recognize. So that's our daily process that we are going to follow. I will share this with you. So in this spreadsheet, what I've done is, the first one is, this is our projections. So, and actually it's so amazing. So if you start with $50,000, and I'm not suggesting you start with $50,000. Oh, actually, there's another thing. We are going to show our results. So I'm going to create a Google Sheet that will be shared with everybody. So in the Google Sheet, what we're going to do is, every week, I want you to enter in where your equity is, where your balance is, every single week at the end of the week. So Friday, when you're done trading, enter that, right? And this is where it's going to get uncomfortable. And we want to be uncomfortable. In order to grow, we have to be uncomfortable, okay? If we are never uncomfortable, we're not going to grow. So it will force you to actually take a look at what you want to show others, right? And for the rest of us, this is not the place to judge, okay? We are all going to make mistakes. And the idea of doing this is, when we are accountable, we actually end up performing better. I joined this CrossFit gym, and in the CrossFit gym, so this was the difference between CrossFit gym and a regular gym, was in the CrossFit gym, everybody's name was on the board, right? So they used to give us series of exercises that we had to do. And then you had to say you did so many box jumps, you lifted so much weight, or you did how much you had to run around, and how many rounds did you do on the track, and that type of stuff. But they posted everything on the wall for everybody to see. And you could not, if you were going to be part of that, you had to put your numbers up, right? And the reason for that is, it's not that you beat yourself up because, oh, we had a negative and we had a positive. Doesn't matter, right? There will be negatives. That's just how the game is, right? The market is rigged. Let me tell you that right now. We are not the casino. Market makers are, and that's just how it is. They're in there to make the money, and we're like the mouse, or the mice that come around, and we eat scraps, okay? And we just have to be okay with that. That's just how it is. But we can be fairly well fed just by eating scraps, okay? So there will be some days where the scraps are really scrappy, so or there's not many of them, so and we're going to throw up, right? So that's a negative. But doesn't matter. What will happen is, the more we do it, the more conscious we will be of the choices that we are making. And the idea is, over time, we fix those choices, right? We start making better choices. But even then, we are going to make mistakes, right? So don't worry about it. Mistakes happen, and then we just get up, brush ourselves off, and we move on. So don't compare yourself to somebody else, okay? That is very, very important. Every master was once a disaster, okay? And then what happens with masters is they become disasters along the way too, and then the difference is they just basically get up sooner. Okay, so it's not like you never get punched in the face. We get punched in the face all the time. We just, learn to get up faster and come back stronger. And that's all we're striving towards, coming back stronger. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. It doesn't have to be a live account. Okay, so if you are concerned about, now I highly encourage you to show your live account, because when you are really uncomfortable, that's what will make you really good. However, if you're not that comfortable yet, okay, and you can switch it at any time. Okay, you can switch out your account and say, today I'm going to start with demo, and then 2 months in, I'm going live. It's fine. We will celebrate with you. But start with demo, that's okay. But I want to see that same account till you tell us you're going to switch accounts, right? So what this will do is it will force us to make better choices, and that's all we're going for, right? So pick whatever account, start with, this is the balance right now, and then this is where, and then every day we'll update that, okay? And don't look at other people's numbers and get mad at yourself. We are all on our journeys, and we will get there in our own due time, so don't worry about it. Another thing that I have found that people get confused about is that they're trying to make big profits from a small account, and it does not happen. So don't force your $2,000 account to make $5,000 every month. Let me tell you, it's not going to happen, because if you're trying to make $5,000 from a $2,000 account, or let's say $2,000 from a $2,000 account, you're essentially asking your account to double every single month. And it is extremely difficult, I will say 99% impossible for you to be consistent with that, okay? If that were possible, what do you think the big hedge fund managers would be doing, right? They don't do that, and they're not able to do that with the immense amount of research and everything else that they have at their fingertips. So we cannot expect ourselves to do that. So let's say you're a swimmer, you cannot expect to be better than Michael Phelps, right? It's just not going to happen. Some days you may be better. You may have better timing. You may be able to do more than he would do in his training, but you are not going to beat Michael Phelps every single time. You're not. That's just how it is. And we cannot try to do that either. And I was actually listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast or what I was listening to just yesterday, and they said, so the winning, if you take a look at the winning timing of Michael Phelps was literally a second better than this person who came in second place. And we don't know the name of the person who came in second place. We only know him. And literally, the difference was that he kicked off faster from the other side when he came back and literally touched it. Like it was not even a second. It was like partial part of a second. So, and that's all we need. We just need to be a little bit better, right? So every day, if we're a little bit better, that will get us there. So don't try to hit home runs like I do. So just slow and steady. So pick an account. I will share a spreadsheet. We will all put our, we'll have a tab for each week. So, and please start the tab. Don't wait for me to do any of these things. I am part of the team as well. I will post everything. So, so that's all we're going to do is we'll just be there for each other and we'll support each other. But don't be afraid. Don't beat yourself up. This is not an exercise in doing that. And don't look at other people's results and start beating yourself up for that. What I want to see is you striving to push the needle a little bit more every single week. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay. There will be weeks when we will take drawdowns, and that's okay. Okay, so I will share this with you guys. You can track this for yourself, but in the spreadsheet that I give you, the Google spreadsheet, you will just need the balance, right? But the exercise here, if you take a look, so going back to the small account trying to create big profits, is that if let's say you are going to start a company, you're not going to start a company with like $2,000, right? So I don't care how many people will say, I started a company with $10. No, they didn't, right? So yes, you may have had $10 in your pocket when you first started, but you probably found somebody to go partners in with you, or you found somebody, you borrowed money on your credit card or your line of credit, or from your family. There's always something going on behind that. I had $10 in my pocket when I started this company. I have started businesses, and let me tell you, businesses do not work with $2,000, right? So what I'm trying to tell you here is that what we can do with the $2,000 is a proof of concept, right? If you can have a really good proof of concept and you have 100% certainty, so let's say you went and bought a lottery ticket, right? And you had 100% certainty that every time you spend $1 on that lottery ticket, you will get $2 in return. Wouldn't you do it? Right? Same thing with our trading. Once we develop the confidence that when we take at the end of the week or the month, we're going to have $2, and I don't mean double your account. I just literally mean like some number, right? So if you knew every day, every week, you're going to make $100, right? Then why wouldn't you make that account bigger? So let's say I started a business, I had a proof of concept, and I worked on it. I had a certain amount of data for several months or years that shows, you know what, this works, right? Let's say I had a plain prototype, it works. Then I'm not going to try to make $1 million out of that. What I will do is I will take it to investors, right? Now that investor can be myself, or it can be my parents or my brothers, sisters, my friend, whatever, or the bank that I borrow money from, right? Like I won't show them that because they won't give you money for trading. But what you would do is you would be confident in your undertaking, and you would say to yourself, okay, if I put $10,000 or $50,000 in there, I am fairly confident that I won't lose that money. Okay, so I may not be able to double, triple, quadruple this, but I'm fairly confident I won't lose it, and I'll be able to make that payment. And that interest rate today is so low. One of my line of credits sent me or bank sent me a thing saying, now you can borrow money at 2.5%. I was like, whoa. Interest rates have never been this low, right? So start thinking about it that way. We're not trying to make huge profits from a small account. We are trying to get to the point where we are so confident in our results that we can take on that bigger challenge. So for example, if you were a driver, let's say you wanted to be a race car driver, right? So you had your old car and you got really good at handling it and you're really fast, but you're not going to take that dinky little car and take it to compete in Indy 500. I hope I'm saying that right. So you're not going to take that car to the race, right? What you're going to do is you're going to prove your results, then you're going to go to somebody else who actually will hire you as a driver, right? Or you're going to somebody for sponsorship and say, look, I can produce these results, so give me a chance, let's do this, right? So somebody may either hire you as their driver, or you'll be able to get sponsorship from somebody. They will have enough confidence in you based on your trade on your record that you are able to produce the results, right? So that's what we're going to do. Then you go in with whatever your fancy BMW race car or whatever that you get, right? And that's the car you enter into the competition. So please make sure you make that distinction. Many times I find people trying to struggle so hard to get massive returns from a small account, and it's not going to work. If you're going to start an Amazon, you need to have inventory. You need to have like certain things in place that will cost money. Okay, and that's just how it is. Business needs money, and it's always a return on investment. So don't worry about the small return, but if your numbers are really good, you will find ways to have that account that will actually help you make a living. So be very mindful of that. And it could just be you take a line of credit at 2.5%. I know I will be able to make payments on that. So that's just what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to tell you here, when I did the calculation here, if we just doubled our account, right, every year. So I started with $50,000, and by the end of the year, I have 100,000. I have doubled it. That's 100% return. 100% return is very, very good. Okay, most people get 20% return, and that is tremendous because, like I said, the interest rates today are 2.5%. Okay, so getting 100% result is incredible. So please give yourself some credit for doing such a great job. Okay, so we're not going to make a killing, we're just going to double, and that is killing, right? Most people make 20% a year. So if you're able to do 100%, that is incredible. Okay, so if you were to take a $50,000 account and double it every year, at the end of 5 years, you've got 1.6 million. And this is not a game of overnight wins. This is a long-term game, right? But while you get to that 1.6 million, you will have so much time on your hands to enjoy life and do other things that you want in your life. But are you going to get here from a $2,000 account? No way. No way. You're not. And you know what? You may sometimes see these people saying, oh, I think there was Timothy, somebody or the other, who's like, oh, from this, I made this. Well, no, I've heard people say that. But you know what they did? There was one guy who said that. I was like, from $1,000, I made $2 million. You know what he did? No, he just had $1,000 account. He traded that really well, took it to the investors who gave him $2 million, right? And then he got a portion of the profits that he made for them. So he was not making $2 million. His account grew to $2 million, not from $1,000 account, but the way he put it, you would think that, oh, he grew his $1,000 account into $1 million. No, it doesn't work. So let's get realistic. Your dingy little car is not going to win the race. Okay, when you're going up against elite athletes, not going to happen, right? You need proper equipment, and having a right size account is a proper equipment. But don't worry about it right now. It will come when you get there. Okay. All right. So this one, I will share this with you. What you want to do here is I have my projected profit. So basically, out of a $50,000 account, I'm trying to make $4,000 or $38.40 a month, right? So about less than $4,000 a month, and that is great return. So you're looking at just below 10%, and that will get you at the end of the year. It will get you to $50,000, and that's all you have to do. So we don't need to hit home runs. We just need to go slow and steady. And then we will get there. Before you know it, you will get there. And when you're making the right decisions, you will learn so much by making those right decisions. That's this number, you can get there even sooner. Okay. So keep that in mind. So this is our profit. We will be able to double it. That I can promise you, if you just follow this, right? And this is no system. You can use whatever strategy you want, whatever you want to do. This is basically what we are going to start doing is we are going to tell your brain what to focus on, and that is moving the needle. So if you're going to put your numbers, and this is what happens, if I'm going to show my numbers, then I'm like, you know what, I just want a positive trade, so let me just take 20 pips. Whereas I was hoping for 100, but then I see 20, I'm like, you know what, it's pulling back, let me just take that. But what will happen is the more success you create, the more your brain likes that, right? And it will start telling you, okay, yeah, let's do this, right? Your brain will become your friend, because now what you'll find is you'll be like, no, your brain will be like, no, stay in there. We can get 10 more pips. And those 10 more pips are so bad, right? The 10 pips don't make a difference in the long run, but we stick to those. And I have done this, like, clearly I'm speaking from experience. I'm like, 10 more pips, I can do this. The trade can do it. No, it can't. Just take the damn 20 pips and get out of it, right? So that's how we're going to do this. And I'm telling you, this is the reality of trading. I make all these mistakes today. I made them 10 years ago. The difference is these days I tend to recognize them, and sometimes I course correct easier than other times. I still fall on my face multiple times. That's how it is. Michael Jordan misses or missed so many free throws, you would think the guy doesn't know how to shoot a ball, right? But and he's the best, right? He was the best. So we can't expect to be better than the best. We just try to get there. Okay, so what I have done with the spreadsheet is, this is how it is. So we have the projections here. This is what my projected is, and then this is where I will fill in my actuals. And what happens is, the more you look at your spreadsheet, and this is what you will keep this at your end. All I want to do is, I just want to know what your weekly total is. I want the account balance and the equity. Sometimes we play games with ourselves, and I am the best game player, let me tell you. I can trick my brain into like nobody's business. But you know, why are we lying to ourselves, right? So sometimes we create these scenarios. Oh no, my equity is this and my balance is that. Oh no, we know what's going on behind the scenes, so let's just put it on the table, right? So let's not play games with ourselves. Put it on the table. So our goal is to manage not just the balance, but also the equity, because there can be a world of difference between the two. And our goal is to basically not lie to ourselves. So we're going to put both equity and balance. And again, like I said, you don't have to show your real account. I am going to show my real account, and I highly encourage you to, but I don't want you to not do it because you don't want to show it. I want you to just start with demo. If that's what you want to show, I'm fine with that, but I want you to do the work. Okay, so in here, this is the projection. You can manipulate this. You can put in your own numbers here. It will spit out whatever the balance will be. You put in your own numbers. I have put calculations in here. It will spit out your numbers for you. Scorecard, what this one does is, every week you have a scorecard. So every week I have days, Monday, Tuesday, and if you don't trade on a certain day, give yourself a 1. Okay, because I don't want to be trading every single day. If I don't trade, but I do my analysis, great. Give yourself 1 for everything, because that's good trade management. You followed your plan and you didn't do anything because that was your plan. So give yourself a 1 for every day that you don't trade. But then if you're giving yourself 1 for not trading, you haven't traded even a single day, now that's a problem, right? So be mindful of that. But what you'll notice here is, for every day, you will have this, you fill it out at the end of the day, you will have your total. It will calculate it for you. And this total will automatically go into here, right? And then it will, at the end of the year, you will have a total. And the spreadsheet will do all of this for you, so we don't have to do it. And this is how we'll track. For sharing purposes, you're just going to share your balance and your number, okay? All right, so other than that, the other thing that we're going to do here is, this is the checklist that I share with you every single day. What I do is, and you can do this for yourself, I'll give this to you, you can fill it out for yourself. Don't worry about all of them. You don't need to do 20 different pairs. Just do whatever, like a handful that you trade. But what will happen is, if you look at this at end of every day, so you say, well, this is what I expected market to do. Did it do it, right? Or did it just go to first profit target, didn't really go to the second profit target, right? So what this will happen is, again, it will give your brain, it will teach your brain what the important thing is. Because a lot of times I find we make mistakes because we don't really understand what our problem is. So we may think we have one challenge, but really the problem is something else, right? So we get so focused on symptoms that we never get to the underlying issue. When you do this type of work, you will be able to go there and you'll figure out, okay, really, this is my challenge. I'm trying to get the stupid 10 pips at the end of the trade when I should have just taken my 20, and now I ended up with a negative 50. Because I was trying to get the last 10 pips. And let me tell you, the last 10 pips are not what they're made to be. Okay, so you can do that. That's optional. I won't be checking that, but I highly recommend you do that. And then we have this trade journal template. I will share the Word document. There's a PDF. If you prefer to do it by hand, do that. If you prefer to type it in, you can type. Either one is fine. So I will give you both of these PDF and other version, and the PDF and the Word Microsoft Word version. If you use Google spreadsheets, Google Sheets, just put it in Google. It'll be fine. So here, what I'm looking for here, or I do for myself, is 3 best pairs that I would be looking to trade the following day, right? For example, let's say I like pound because they just said that Brexit negotiations are not going well. They are going to extend the lockdown, whatever, right? So those are the 3 pairs. So I'm going to pick the 3 pairs. So I'm going to pick pound because of that. Good. So you if you're not trading 3 pairs, don't worry about it. Put 1 or 2, as long as you put something in. And for those pairs, then you want to say why, right? Why do you want to trade this? So the more you tell, like the more you verbalize or write why you want to do something, again, now we are starting to teach our brain, oh, this is why I said I was going to do this, and why it makes sense. And at the end of the day, we will say things like, well, Trump tweeted something and the market turned, or it went into risk-off environment, right? So that's why the trade didn't work out. So this will show us why the trade didn't work out. A lot of times I find traders will beat themselves up for the wrong reason. So they will say, oh, I lost money, I suck, I'm this and that. Well, let's kind of take a step back here and let's figure out what happened, right? So if we did not manage our trade properly, that's on us, okay? If we took a bad setup and we were chasing the market, that's on us. But if Trump tweeted something and the market sentiment changed, there's nothing we can do about it. President Trump likes to tweet, okay? And in a way, it's not a bad thing because then we know what's going on there, right? And then Bank of England came and said something. Well, there is nothing we can do to control that. And these days, banks make random statements. Before, they used to have one particular day in a month where they will make a statement. Today, they just come out of nowhere and make a statement, right? Or Bank of Japan intervened in the market. Well, there's nothing we can do about it, right? So what we want to do is we want to separate the things that we have control over versus the stuff that we do not have control over. All we can do is we can take the right action, do the stuff that we need to do, and then don't worry about it. Well, what you will find is the more right actions you take, the better your results will be, right? So right action will generally, most times, lead to the right result. Sometimes it won't work, but then we can then we know. So this is where you will do your reflection, your daily review, and this is where I do the daily review and I say, you know what, this didn't work out because of this. Okay, so now I know it wasn't me. And when it's me, then I need to take responsibility for that. And then I talked about the news. So this is where you want to write out. And the reason you want to write out what happened. So for example, I may say here for Forex Factory read news, we had Bank of England press conference or monetary policy statement, right? So then I will just write a couple of things about, they said they're going to expand their QE program, which means the pound will drop, right? Just say that. So you don't even have to say the pound will drop. You just say, oh, they're going to expand their QE program. So write that, go to Bloomberg, make 1 or 2 notes here. Again, we don't have to write a paragraph. And I really recommend, if you're the type like me who likes to go all out, you're going to burn yourself out. So I don't want you to do a whole year of workouts in one day, which I'm telling you, I've tried, can't do it, okay? You will not get the results, you'll end up injuring yourself. So I would rather you put 1 word in there than write a paragraph, okay? Because that 1 word will lead to 2 words, to a sentence, to 4 sentences. But if you try to write a paragraph from the very beginning, what will happen is you'll be too exhausted at the end of the day to do it, so you'll stop. So we don't want to do that, okay? And then we do an emotional check-in. And this, I find, again, this is not something that many people will talk about, but if you are trading for a living, you will find, and this works with any work as well, you will find when you're tired, you've had an argument with your spouse, your child, whatever, or you read some news on the Facebook and you got into Facebook argument, like sometimes I do stupid things like that. Those days, you will find your results are not as good because your brain is not focused, right? So we want our brains to be focused, and for that we have to avoid those things. But when you can see the correlation between the two, then you will be able to make that decision to avoid those things. But first we need to see the correlation. So if you're just tired, you will see the day drags on, and you're not able to get the best results, same as you would do in your regular work, right? So just put in have a headache, that's it, right? At the end of the day, then you will be like, yeah, you know what, I had a headache, that's why I didn't do as well. So and then what you will learn over time is sometimes it's not worth taking a trade because you're not feeling your best, so better skip. And then there is always a trade. That's what I have learned. There's always a trade. There's next day. And it's not like a tournament where you go and you play one day and you're done. No. We are playing the tournament every single day. So there is always a trade. There's always an opportunity. It's like there is abundance of the fish in the fishing grounds. So we don't have to try to kill all the fish all at once because they will rot. It's best to just take what you need and move on. And then, of course, we do post-trade, our review. This is where you will look at, I took pound yen short, got 30 pips, and then market turned around, went out -50. Well, and I should have done this, right? This is what you want to put in here. I highly recommend putting charts, and this will be for your own information. When you're reviewing it, you'll be able to see, well, you know what, looks like the trade was stuck here, and I should have gotten out of it. So it will just tell you that type of feedback. So I suggest taking a picture of it when you enter the trade, and then taking a picture of it when you exit the trade. And I like to do it over multiple time frames. So for example, I will post in an hourly, like I'll put in my own trade journal, I'll put an hourly chart, I will put in a 5-minute or 15-minute chart, or whatever you're taking the trade from, that chart, and the higher time frame chart, and even the daily, so that when I'm reviewing it, because you forget, right? So when we're reviewing it, we'll be able to see that. So those are all the resources, and I will put these. I will put this. They're in the Trade Vault. So if you log in, and Ken, I will talk to you in a bit. Please stay on. And then they're in the Trade Vault. If you haven't logged into the website, just go to tradingwithvenus.thinkific.com. Actually, let me put it in the comments here. Go to that website. If you don't have a login, make sure you set up an account. And actually, Ken, this is what you want to do here. So set up an account, and then I will give you access. And I will give you access to Trade Vault if you don't have it. For most people, though, when you signed up, the software sets you up on the platform. So you should have an access. If you've forgotten your password, just request a new password. The system will send you a new password. So you will be all set there. There is another video called Setups and Projections that I talked about last time I ran the challenge. Feel free to check that out. But idea behind projections, and those are the two things I want you to. So let's do a review. What do I want you to post? I want you to post every single day one trade setup, and this is review, right? This is looking back, so we can all be perfect in retrospect. So feel free to be, to pick the best one that you can find. And really, what we're trying to do is we're trying to teach our brain to find that setup the next time it shows up, right? So find a setup, write a couple of sentences about it, and say why this is a good setup. So that's the setup part of it. So that's a review. And projection is when you take one pair and just guess, right? Guess where this is going to go and why do you think it's going to go there. And you don't have to be right in either one. So that's every single day. If somebody has started a thread in the Facebook group, put it in there in the comments. If nobody has started a thread for that day, start a thread, right? So don't wait for me or somebody else. This is like I said, a team effort. We're all going to put our comments in the same one. So that's the daily. And on a weekly basis, we are going to put in our trade balance, our account balance, equity, and plus minus whatever number of pips. Okay, so we'll put that in there. So those will be the different things that we are going to track. Now, we are going to have a call every week, every Friday. The reason I like Fridays for this is because it's end of the week, and then we can talk about what happened. So we'll do a coaching call. It won't go this long. This was just the setup one. We'll keep it under an hour. If you can attend it live, I highly recommend that you do. If you cannot attend it, don't. What I don't want you to do is not participate. Okay, so if you can't attend it, don't worry about it. Just put in your comment in the comment section, or put something in the comment section. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go do a round table, and we'll talk about how did the week go, what did you learn, what challenges that you faced, and then I'll provide my feedback on what you may be able to do differently, right? And this is a good opportunity for us to, one, voice what's going on. And sometimes it will just be like, oh man, I just messed up this week, right? And other weeks it will be like, oh, this was great. Market was easy. I saw things and things flowed. And there are those weeks as well. Other weeks I'll be like, I was just too tired to trade. It's okay. So whatever our challenge is, if I have something to say about it, I will. But the more you talk, it creates an opportunity for somebody else to learn. Okay, so do not be afraid of being the only one who is facing that problem. Let me tell you, I am sure I will face that problem too, even now. So don't think that it's only you, but you having the courage to voice it is an opportunity. It shows. So Aaron, for example, posting his trades gives everyone else an opportunity to be brave and post it, right? But me posting my trades gives Aaron encouragement to post his, and that gives Benita encouragement to post hers, and somebody else, right? And it's good for us to see, right? Good or bad, it's good for us to just have that, create that environment. So again, this is a non-judgmental environment, and this is me being a little hard now. If I find somebody disrespecting others or being, what's the word? Being negative, right? I'm going to have a word with you, and this is not going to work, right? I do not want one bad apple to ruin the whole barrel. I am happy to work with whoever, with anybody. If they need a little bit extra support, or if you want to talk to me, we can book a call. I am more than happy to support you. You know what? I want this to be an environment where we support each other. So I don't like when people try to take advantage of me. Like somebody came to me yesterday, was like, they said, oh, I didn't buy your course, but I bought this other course, but now it's not working for me. Can you help me? I'm like, well, if you didn't buy my course, then I don't know what you're doing. How can I help you, right? So I don't like people trying to take advantage of me like that. But you're here as a paid member, and I am more than happy to support you. I just need to know how to support you, right? So Aaron brought this up. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I think it's great. So don't worry about inconveniencing me, but just don't be negative about stuff, right? And see, if you're having problems, just take me aside and say, hey, Raman, can we just talk about this? For sure. And let me tell you, whatever problem you have experienced, I'm telling you, I have done worse. Okay, so whatever your actions are, I am telling you, I have done worse, and even today I do worse, and that is embarrassing, but it is what it is, right? This is just how it is. If you're going to be in the boxing ring, you're going to take some punches to the face. That's part of the game. But you know what? We don't just lie down and give up. This is a good business to be in. And I'm realizing, especially as we are going through this pandemic, I've had some time to reflect here. I'm like, you know what? This is good. This is good. When a lot of people are losing their jobs, there's so much fear in terms of what's going to happen with the economy, what are we going to do, and so forth. One thing is, like, we can make money regardless of what direction the market is going in, regardless of what else is going on around ourselves. And that is, my God, that's a blessing. Right? So I don't like to argue with people, and people saying, oh, you're a fraud, this and that. You know what? If that's your opinion, then fine. Okay. But if you're serious, and I've been posting my results, right? So there are good days. There really are. Like yesterday, it was good. It was grueling. So but there's some days when things just flow, and it is such a nice, like, it gives you such a good feeling. And there will be other days, of course, that they're just hard. But if we work together, we can all do so much better. So let's just give it a try, right? Let's put our negative opinions to the side and say, you know what, let's just have fun. This is a fun game, and we're blessed to be able to do this from the comfort of our homes. So what else is, like, we just dip our toes in and we can come up with something, right? Good business is not get rich quick, not going to happen. So that's why let's do it slow and steady. It's like going to the college, right? So when you go to the college, let's say you're studying to become a doctor. First day, it's going to be hard. Like, it's okay. Like, first day is hard. First day is fine. But the first semester may be tough, right? When you start your residency, it will be tough. But you do that for like 3-4 years and you come out making a ton of money. I don't know if that's true, but I would expect it to be true for doctors or anybody who puts in any kind of effort into anything. 2-3 years down the road, if they do it the right way, which we don't, but we are going to be doing it the right way here, you will find you can really become a pro at anything. So let's say you took up gardening. You can, like, in 3 years, you will be way better than you are when you on your first day, right? So keep that in mind. I'm here to support you. We have a group of people. If you feel for some reason, shy of talking to me, don't worry about it. There's a lot of other people. We're all in the Facebook group. If you need to message somebody, feel free to do so. If you need to message me, feel free to do so. I'm happy to help. So let's create this a good team environment. And when you are struggling, please tell us, right? And we will support each other, because sometimes we just need that friendly voice. Like, there's most of the times there's nothing we can really do about it, but it's nice to have, like, yesterday, for some reason, I was just down in the dumps, and I messaged a friend of mine. She's like, okay, you know what, we'll do our social distancing walk. So I'm going to go to a social distancing walk with her today, because sometimes it's just nice to just call up a friend and say, hey, I just need a little hand up. And just that little talking, actually, I don't even need to go for a walk. I'm just talking to her made me feel better. So I would suggest that use this group as that, because there are a lot of people out there who are making claims that are crazy, and sometimes we may get stars in our eyes. But you know what? Let's keep our eyes on the ball, on what we are doing, and focus, and we'll get there. And then there are a lot of naysayers, and I find there are more naysayers than the positive people, especially in this business. I actually don't even tell, for the most part, people that I trade, and this is why most people in my area don't even know what I do, because you know what, I don't want people telling me how it is. If you haven't done it, don't tell me how it is, because you don't know, frankly, right? If you're an elite race car driver, then yes, please tell me what to do, because I want to be a race car driver. But if you have never raced in your life, please don't give me opinions, because you don't know what it feels like to be in a boxing match. You don't know what it feels like to get punched in the face. But if you have gotten punched in the face, yes, please, I do want to know, what did you do? What did it feel like? How did you get back up? Because I want to be able to do that, because I know I will get punched in the face, right? So this is the environment that I want us to create, and we are a team. And let's work on this, and let's stay consistent. And please, another thing I find is sometimes what happens is we get started and we are very enthusiastic, and then a few weeks down the road, we just give up. So here's the thing. If you fall off the wagon, don't worry about it. Get back on, right? If, let's say, you didn't post anything the whole week, and then 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and you're like, oh no, I'm just too far behind. No, just come back, right? Just come back, pick it up, come back, and nobody's going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. I just want you there. That's my bottom line, and I want you moving the needle. That's all I care. I don't want you to lift 100 pounds. You're going to do 1 pound? Perfect. Let's do it, as long as you do it. All right, any questions or anything to add?
Yes, Ramona, I have a question.
Okay.
Just want to double check. So when you was mentioning the goals that we should set, those goals should be kind of yearly. You said maybe being able to get 100% of your account, but after a year.
So for now, the goal I want everybody's goal to be to get a positive number at the end of the week, even if it's $1.
At the end of the week. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. And like weekly goals will end up being yearly goals, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. You can set it to be whatever, but please don't make it 1,000% is what I'm trying to say. You can make it 10, 20, whatever percent you want, 100%, 200, but don't make it 1,000% because it's not realistic.
Not realistic. I got you.
Yeah.
And then the last question is, when do you think it's safe to take profit?
Oh, here's another thing that what do you mean take profit?
In other words, so let's say, you have a $500 account and you get it to 1,200 and you want to take 300 back.
Okay.
Whether it's per weekly, other than just keeping it in there and trying to grow for 5 years, some of us would like to take a little profit every now and then. So what was your recommendation on that?
Yes, actually, you know what? That's a great question. Now, the reason for that is this is a practice that I'm going to put in for myself as well. I take random profits, okay? And that's not a good thing. So what I have decided to do is I am going to take 50% of whatever profit I make for the month, I'm going to take it out. Okay. And the reason for that is because I find, and I have done this, right, where I will focus on growing my account. I do so well, and then I give it all back. Right. And that is so frustrating because you worked for like 3 months and then you gave it back in a week. Right. And I have done that again and again and again. And markets are really volatile right now as well. So I used to play blackjack, not professionally or anything. But, every once in a while I would go to the casino and play blackjack. And the reason I like playing blackjack was because I didn't want to gamble. I just wanted something that has strategy behind it. And I thought, okay, blackjack has a strategy. I will do it. And I used to win most of the time. But the reason I used to win was because every time I made profit, I took it off the table. So I remember my husband and I went to Vegas one time and we each took like small amount of money, $200 each. And we're like, okay, we're going to go play. So he goes to the slot machines and whatever, he's doing his thing and comes back after a while. I have my chips. So I cashed out the 200. I have chips in there. So he comes and stands at the table and he's watching. He's watching my stash is dwindling, and then finally the dealer takes everything, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And so he's like, okay, and then we're walking to our rooms, but I was like, hold on a second, and then I go to and he's looking at me. He's like, what's going on? So I went to the cashier, and then I dump out my purse. What I had been doing was I had been taking, so every time I made money, I didn't put it back in. I just put it in my purse, right? So this was like tricking myself, and I was like, I'm going to hide it from the cameras because, and this is like stupid mind games, right? Not that they're not forcing me to put it back in, but what I found was a lot of people would put everything back in, and then when they went on a losing streak, which we all do, they would give it all back. Right. And this is how they win. I mean, how the casinos win, because house always wins. If you stay there long enough, they will take it back. And this is the same with trading as well. So same trick applies to this as well. So I have decided that I'm going to take half off. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let the account grow, but you have to reward yourself as well. And this is, again, from the psychological perspective. So all the experiments that they do on the mice, right? So the mice goes and does something, rings the bell, and they get a reward for it. The more the mice rings the bell, the more reward they get. So the mice get so good at knowing that, or the mouse gets so good at knowing that this is what they're supposed to do, that they will keep on doing that over and over again, right? So this is how we want to train our brain as well. So if we reward ourselves, our brains will then understand that this is how we do it, and they will start finding it will find those opportunities for us to get that reward, right? And this is one of the biggest challenges from psychological perspective that I find with traders. We are so focused on growing our accounts that we forget to take profit. So we have to do that. So I'm going to do 50%, and not every week, but every month.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can choose your own. So, but I do recommend, doesn't matter what it is, even if you're taking $5 out of your account, please do so, and please go have a cup of coffee with it, because you will really enjoy that cup of coffee, I'm telling you.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? All right. So we will wrap it up here. But I think, sorry, Benita, you joined late. You weren't, you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself. So before we wrap it up, if you don't mind introducing yourself, tell us how long you've been trading, and what are some of the challenges that you're facing that you would like to work on as we do this. And you can unmute yourself. Or I can unmute.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. And please tell us where
Yeah.
you're located
Hi.
as well.
Hi. Thank you, Raman. Yeah. My name's Benita. I live in London, and I've just started trading, as you know. Just trading on a demo account, and I'm really grateful that I found your course. And yeah, I'm just happy that I'm in a like-minded group. I know I'll be needing a lot of support, and whatever I learn along the way, I will help you all. You know, lessons I learn, and what you know, my ups and downs, I'll be happy to share. So yeah, I'm really pleased. Thank you, Raman.
Very good, thank you. So I'm going to put these resources they will be in the Trade Vault as well, but I'm going to upload the files. I may have to do a zip. They won't take the zip file. So you know what, I'm going to put it in Google Drive, so you guys can just download it from there, and I will create a spreadsheet today as well. And then in that spreadsheet, please go add a tab, create a tab for yourself. And this is where we are going to record our weekly results. And on the day-to-day basis, we'll just put it in the Facebook group, our setups and projections. All right, so this is like the longest session we have done. Most of the sessions won't be like this. So actually, before we close off here, does this time work for you guys? I'm trying to find something that is, I know for Anthony, this is like 5 in the morning. For me, it's 6 in the morning, but I'm happy to get up at this point. But does it work for you guys?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so far for me, it's okay. I know I won't be able to stay on as long next time, but you know, so far it's okay. 8 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll do our normal sessions will be less than an hour. This was more the setup one. And even if you're not able to attend, so please do, I will post this in the Facebook group. And let's say you missed it, put your comments, listen to it, and then put your comments in the bottom, but do participate, even if it's a one-liner, make sure you do. Yeah, so we'll start on Monday. I'm going to put this in there. So over the weekend, please set up your spreadsheets and whatnot. And we'll start as of Monday. We will be heads down. I don't always take trades on Mondays. Like you will notice, some days I just don't even trade. And that's okay. If you don't, that's fine as well. But we'll try to participate as much as we can. All right, so with that, perfect. Let's wrap it up, and I will see you guys on Monday, and have a wonderful weekend. And, you know, feel good about yourself that you are willing to take the steps that 99% of traders are not willing to take. And it's this that they're not willing to do. Everybody loves to trade. Nobody likes to do the work, right? But you know what? If we are horse owners, if we're going to have a racehorse in the race, we have to take care of that racehorse and feed it and groom it, do other things, and we're willing to do that, right? It comes with work. So in terms of Monday, there's no time. We'll just do our normal meetings. Our meetings will only be once a week on Friday. That will be our coaching call, and it will be at this time. So I'm going to go set up all the meetings for the next 2-3 months. And I accidentally deleted the review call. I'm going to put that back in. So we have lots of calls, so please feel free to participate in as many as you like. So I do a call in the morning. We do what is the morning bank reports. We review them in the mornings, and then we have a review call in the evening, and then we do a market analysis call. So I do 3 calls a day. And then we'll do this call on the Friday. It will be 45 minutes, an hour, if that. And then everything else we'll do in the Facebook group. So please join whenever you can. But make sure you do the actual recording of stuff. So that's the most important part. All right, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. I will see you again next week.
Thanks again. See you later.
Roger. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.